everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, I will share with you a fur bag recipe that is incredibly easy to make. It is so easy to make that even those who do not know how to knit can make this bag very easily. I want to show you our model up close. Look, since we use a ready-made canvas, you can do this very easily even if you do not know how to knit. I used a leather lock like this. Look, I used a device like this. But if you want, you can use different locks. I want to show you like this on the inside. You can easily use this even if you do not sew a lining inside. You can also line it inside later. I want to show you on the back of the bag right away. Let's see the base. It turned out to be a really stylish piece, so you can easily finish it in a day. Look, the lock part is like this. You can prepare many different colors. I prepared such a beautiful gray color. It was a beautiful work that I can combine with many clothes. By the way, since we made it from canvas, the bag can stand up very easily. It was a very nice work like a mold. Look, the handle will not stretch like this. I prepared a handle with its own yarn. But you can decorate the handle part and the lock part by using different accessories. This is completely up to your taste. You can prefer longer handles. It doesn't have to be short handles. In other words, it was a beautiful work that we can put in many shapes. I hope you like it and try it. Before moving on to our recipe, I would like to make a small request from you. I would be really happy if you can subscribe to our channel for free, like the video and leave your comments. Let's move on to our recipe. I obtained the materials I used for my bag from Aksa Orgu Boutique. I will add the contact information to the description section of the video. You can reach it by clicking there. For this work, we will use a canvas like this. One will be enough. And look, we will have used 2 balls of this furry fur yarn. Our materials are like this. This canvas also has a light color one. Again, there are many different color options in the furry yarn. You can also see different color options by contacting Aksa Knitting Boutique. Look, I used a light color here before on the canvas. And look, by directly closing the boxes completely with the chain technique, you can see the inside and outside in this way. This is the inside, this side. I have covered the entire outside. Now I will show you how I did it. It is incredibly easy to make. We cut the excess with scissors. Then if you want only a chain, you can start from one end and close the boxes from the outside to the inside. Or I will look like this. I started from the end there, going back and forth like this. I covered the entire end. Finally, the ends are left here. I cut these and the ends by cutting my threads. I closed it with the chain work again later. Now I want to show you a fold. Look, its texture is like this. It is a thick textured yarn. Now I will use a crochet hook to fill the boxes. If you want, you can also use an etamine needle. At this stage, my crochet hook number will be 3.5 millimeters. You can also use different yarns. At this stage, you can also choose a crochet hook that will fit through the box easily, according to the yarn. Now, I will show you the logic here. Look, as I said, I filled these sharp points later, starting from this edge and doing it back and forth continuously. Look, I want to show its texture. I put it on a hook like this so that I don't mix the front and back. Look, I came to the tip here by doing it back and forth vertically. Then I closed the other ends and the sharp ends and I completed my work. Now I am taking my yarn so that it doesn't remain. Look, the slightly smooth point is like this. The inside is more ball. Look, I start from the outer part here at the serrated point, and you can start from anywhere you want in any box. I sink into the box. I create a loop by pulling the yarn up with the help of the hook. I sink into the next box that comes immediately. I take my yarn from below to the end of the hook and pull it up. I pass the loop I pulled out through the waiting loop. Then, since this is hairy, after fixing the first loop like this, I throw a box. I sink into the second box and pull the yarn up again. I pass the yarn I pulled through the waiting loop. I skip one box. I sink into the second box and carry the yarn up. I pass the loop I carried through the waiting loop. You can think of it as a sliding process like a chain pulling process. Now I'm using a hairy yarn here. I hope it is understandable. I want to show you the process I do on a flat yarn that is not hairy. Now I continue like this. Go to the next box and slide down one step further. In this way, we fill in all the boxes in the forward direction. See behind. Since it is a fuzzy yarn, it will not be noticeable at all. If you want, you can use this bag without lining. After filling all the boxes like me, if you are going to make a lining, you can cut your lining in the shape of a quilt and assemble it and close it that way. There are many ways to do the lining method. I also want a plain yarn, not a fuzzy yarn. Now I will show you how to close the boxes. I bought a plain yarn. Now I will show you here. Again, I dipped into any box and took out the loop. Now I am dipping into the next box. I took the thread. Look, I took out the loop. I slide the one I took out from the one waiting. Now I left a gap in the fuzzy yarn. Look, I'm skipping one box. I dipped into the next box and carry the yarn up with the help of a crochet hook. I passed the loop I took out through the waiting loop. I left a gap in the fuzzy yarns. I dipped into the next one. But when working with this type of rope, for example, if you want to use this type of rope, then you need to dip into each box so that the gaps are completely closed. Now I leave a gap. I took out my loop from the bottom by dipping into the next box and I passed it by sliding it through the waiting loop. See, this is the technique. There is nothing different here. The aim is to cover the canvas completely. Look, you will not see any plastic place. Then you came. I immediately skipped the next box. At this stage, while going down, look, I started from this edge, I went down from the short edge, going back and forth. I did not skip a box, by the way, look, I just left a gap here again while going forward. I dip into the next one and take it out of the loop like this. Look, when I come to the end of the row in this direction again, that is by making back and forth movements to fill the gaps on this side, I have completely covered the canvas. Now I want to show it like this. Look, the canvas is finished like this. I put a safety pin like this so that the beginning and end would be clear. In other words, so that the front and back would be clear. This part is the flat part. Now, I prepared handles for this bag with its own yarn. Look, I only knitted tight needles with fuzzy yarns. I want to show you how I knitted this right away. Let me tell you how many centimeters I knitted. I knitted 5 tight needles. 5 tight needles are enough for me. When I hold it in my hand like this, the short side is 5 centimeters and the long side changes according to the handle length you want. Look, I prepared it in 38 centimeters. I prepared handles measuring 5 centimeters by 38 centimeters. Now I will show you how I did it. Again, I left some yarn to sew with its own thread first. Then I used a 3.75 mm crochet hook at this stage. I don't want it to be too loose. By the way, since it is a non-stretching thread, when I knitted a tight needle, there was no stretching in the handle. In other words, it has a very solid stance in its handle. In other words, it is not a handle that will sag too much when you use it. It is also useful to state this. But if you think it will sag, you can fold it like this and put a rope inside. You can place a lining. In other words, you can make the handle part even thicker and not stretchable. Now here is the classic tight needle. Actually, I start with a chain. After locking the first chain, I start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chains. Look, the chains look quite distinct. I leave the 6th chain V. I knit a single crochet by inserting a loop into the chain. If there are beginners among us, I have previously shared a detailed video on how to knit a single crochet. I will add it to the description section of our video. You can watch it from there. Now I knitted 5 single crochets in this way. Now since it is a hairy yarn, we cannot see where to insert. So if you know how to knit a single crochet, you can do it with knitting needles. By the way, you can knit more easily with knitting needles. You can also knit with knitting needles. I choose the loop and I turn it directly. I immediately insert it into the first space that comes. Look, and now I am counting. I continued by counting. I continued by counting every row. This is my first single crochet until fly. 4 rows, then I knitted V single crochets. I stretched the stitch, I turned my knitting, I sank into the first gap that came 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this. Look at the yarn, counting each row, counting the single crochets, turning it, continued like this. You can already feel the gap that comes like this when you touch your hand lightly. If you know where to look and how to make a single crochet, you will do this very easily. As I said, we knit one order, one reverse by turning, counting 5 single crochets in each row. I extended my piece in this way. Then I pulled one chain, leaving my yarn long enough. In this way I prepared both handles. Look, it became a really textured, sturdy handle, but these handles do not have to be made of knit. You can use ready-made handles. Now let's combine this piece with canvas into a hole. Now we will combine the canvas into a hole. I put my yarn long on my etamy needle. Look, I will place it in a single layer. This is the flat part, this is the reverse part. You can use both sides. You can choose whichever side you want. Now I'm folding the canvas in half. First of all, when I fold it like this, there are straight edges here. I'm going to start from here. From this end, from the small part of the bag. Look, I'm going to start from here and sew it all the way to the end here. Look, I'm going to sew it all the way to this part. First of all, I'm going to hide my thread a little bit by running it through the weave. Let's hide some of our rope like this. For example, when you were attaching the rope, your rope was missing. You can place it like this. Now I'm passing the rope through a box in the appropriate space at the beginning. Let's make it solid. Look, it doesn't come easily. Now I'll move on to combining here. The boxes are already facing each other. I'm folding them right away so they stay. Look, I'm right here. I will start from the very first box. First I will sink into the opposite piece. I will sew by sinking into the opposite box here. I will do a classic wrapping stitch by jumping over it. We will have closed both the plastic part and brought our piece as a whole. In other words, we will have formed a bag. You can pass it twice from one place if you are using different threads depending on the closing method. For example, if one pass was not enough, you can pass it twice from one place now by sinking into the boxes opposite each other. We bring the canvas to the bag form. Look, it is really very easy to make in this way. Look, I am sewing. I will come down by sewing like this. After sewing here this part, look, it is a very easy technique. After joining this and that part, there is an opening between the base and the bellows. Then this part already matches here. We will sew this here. Now I want to sew this piece as well. We will sew the opposite piece in the same way. Then we will bring this side bellows. By joining it to the base, we will close this opening and give the shape to our bag. Let's close both sides like we described. We joined it to the flat edge here. Now we will join the side bellows and the base part here. I am bending it like this. Look, I am checking it with my hand so that it fits perfectly. Like this, I am making this point clear. Now our thread is right in the middle. I will take the thread a little bit like this by walking it to the head part. Look, we had pulled a chain here. I am straightening the thread a little bit like this from the knitting to the head part. Look, I have come to the edge part. Now on the edge, these boxes are opposite each other. I am sewing them opposite each other and making the same stitch. Look, there is no different process. I am skipping over it, sewing this part like this by sewing the boxes opposite each other. And here we will have cut off a hidden amount of our string inside our bag. Look, we have made it a hole. Then we will attach string again at the bottom part. Look at this mouth part. Here we will completely close the plastic image here by making a needle wrapping stitch by inserting the etamy needle into each box once. Then we will move on to placing our handles. Look, here I folded our handle that we knitted as a flat piece in half and stitched it. I left a seamless point at the beginning and end of 5 centimeters. Look, I want to show it like this. I left a gap of about 4 centimeters here. Of course, I put my thread again, folded it in half, sewed the handle and again left a piece of seamless point at the end and finished here and hid my thread. I decided to mount it to the bag like this. You can mount it flat if you want. It will be nice like this too, but I wanted a slightly thicker texture and we almost took this stretch margin while sewing. Look, I want to show it like this. I did not place anything inside. I will mount it to the bag like this. Now look, I will show it like this. As I said, I left a distance of about 4 centimeters in two. I folded it in half and then I sewed it. See the wrapping stitch again? I complete the point by doing it. I make the handle part in two and sew it. Again, when we fold it with its own thread, we can easily see where we will sew it. Look, I will make the handle in two like this. Again, at the end, we leave a 4 centimeter gap like here and strengthen the thread and make the handle like this. I will have it ready, but as I said, you can make it straight or you can choose different handles. Then quickly, look again, I left short ropes here. Thanks to the short ropes, you can either assemble it from the inside or from the outside. It is completely up to your taste. Now let's complete the handles as I described, then assemble it to our bag, and our bag is now finalized. Let's share it with you right away. Finally, I put a leather lock on our bag. I want to show it like this with snaps. Finally, I finished the bag by placing a device like this. I want to show it like this on the back. Now, if I were to tell you the size of our bag, the short side of the base is about 11 centimeters and the length is 18 centimeters. The length of the bag is 20 centimeters. Look, we have prepared a nice handle again. If you want, you can also use leather handles. Again, this accessory has handles. You can prefer them too. It really was a very nice bag. It was a nice project to drink. Our measurement was like this. I hope you like it and try it. I wish you all the best in advance. Don't forget to like our video, leave a comment and subscribe to our channel. Goodbye until we see you in the next video.